Hello dear, thank you for joining us on Political Affairs on Kama TV. Today on the show, we shall be looking at the first 4 years of Governor Ahmadu Fintiri's scorecard, plus projecting the 11-point agenda into streamlining to 8-point agenda. My name is Chris Jacobs. We'll take a short break now. When we return after this time out, I'll introduce to you my guest for today. Stay with us. Alright, you're welcome back. If you just tune in, you're watching Political Affairs on Kama TV. Now, I've been joined by Honorable Ijahu Ijabani. He's a Special Assistant to Governor Fintiri on Media and Content Creation. Honorable Ijahu, it's a pleasure to have you on Political Affairs.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chris.
Alright, now, the first 4 years of Governor Ahmadu Fintiri had been commendable by greater majority of Adama's indigents.
Yes.
However, that's not to say there are no improvement that is expected of him in this second tenure of his. But just take us through the achievement or some of the achievements of Governor Ahmadu Fintiri during the last 4 years, capturing the 11-point agenda.
Okay, thank you very much. The first tenure of His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Adamawa State, I'm talking about from 2019 to 2023. Actually, a lot of achievement has been recorded. First and foremost, when it has to do with infrastructure, the Adamawa State has experienced tremendous infrastructural developments. I'm talking about real times in almost all the local governments. And looking at the state capital, a lot of infrastructure like the housing estate that has been owned, and also the constructions of roads in the urban centers, and also the constructions of the flyover in the police roundabout and the total junction. And to mention but few, when it has to do with infrastructure, and in line to education, His Excellency has given free WAEC to the secondary school, and also scholarship has been given both locals and international, and even postgraduates. That is when it has to do with the educational sector. And when it has to do with the human development, more than 5,000 to 20,000 of youth have been trained on different skills, and empowerment when it has to do with cash, startups cash has been given kits to these people. And it has to do with the promotions. A reasonable number of civil servants have been promoted, prompt payment of salaries, pensions, and gratuities. And these are, to mention but few words, the first tenure of His Excellency Right Honorable Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri has recorded. And time will not permit us. There is a lot that has been achieved.
All right. You talked about, because I'm interested in the social intervention scheme,
yes,
or otherwise human capital development. Now, let's talk to the issue of human capital development first of all. I know for the very first time he created the Ministry of Entrepreneurial Development Skills.
Yes.
How far so far has that ministry fared in terms of meeting up to its demand and the essence of its creation?
Actually, for the past 4 years, because the Ministry of Entrepreneurship has been created in 2019-2020, and this particular ministry, for the past 4 years of the first term, has trained more than 50,000 youths within these 21 local governments, and more than 30,000 have been empowered with not only cash, because it depends on the kind of empowerment that we're doing. And up to this moment, the ministry is doing what is actually expected of it. And because of how important the Ministry of Youth Empowerment and Entrepreneurship is, so many youths and even the aged ones in the state were able to earn living from this ministry. and which is actually the essence of this, so that those that are less privileged and those in need can be able to be trained and retrain other people and also earn a living, so that the GDP of the state will increase and the essence of the government can be achieved.
I know Governor Amadou Fintiri rode upon the wings of the People's Democratic Party to emerge as a governor of Adamawa State. Now, in dishing out these interventions, does it cut across every strata, talking about that, regardless of political affiliation, regardless of tribe, creed, as in, how was this disbursement?
Okay, thank you very much. You see, when it has to do with election, people tend to vote the party they want. They tend to vote for the individual they want, based on their own personal interests. But when it has to do with governance cut across board. There is nothing like APC, there is nothing like PDP, there is nothing like SDP. So, the first tenure of His Excellency, this intervention we're talking about that has to do with the youth empowerment, we're talking about job creations. It cuts across the APC, the PDP, and every other party, because we are all in one state. And the essence of government is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people, not for the party. So this government of PDP has been fair, and there is a fair share for the past 4 years.
All right. Now, this is the second phase of his administration. He's talking about the second tenure of Governor Amadou Fintiri.
Yes.
During the first tenure, it was 11-point agenda. And now it is 8-point agenda. Tell me, why was the streaming, what brought about the streamlining of this agenda from 11 points to 8?
Okay, thank you very much. The first tenure was 11-point agenda. And 3 years into the first tenure of this government, we're able to meet up to more than 80% of what we intend to do. And while we're rounding up the first tenure of His Excellency, everything has been achieved to a reasonable standard. So, and because this has been achieved, is a plus to the government. And the people mandate that brings back this government to the system, the government have to sit with the team and look at the 11-point agenda, and the 11-point agenda has been achieved judiciously, more than 100%. So, now, what are we going to replicate, do another 11-point agenda? No. Experts, advisors, the governor, and other persons come together and sit down, okay, this is what we should do. And while streamlining, we say, okay, we have achieved this, we can harmonize this, we can bring this to this. And that is why we come about the 8-point agenda, which cut across all the 11 that has been achieved. Now, what we are doing is consolidation. This second tenure is a consolidation on what has been achieved for the first time.
All right. Days and times of politicking is over. It is time for governance.
Governance, yeah.
But of course, there will definitely be a pullback factor.
Yes.
But how does that fashion the prowess, of the governor in terms of doing more, whether or not there is a pullback factor from oppositions, from critics, and so on?
Okay, thank you very much. It's something that is okay with every human being, and because the human need is insatiable and the human behavior is unpredictable. So definitely, people will behave the way they want to behave, and people actually what they want. That is how they react to do. And a lot of people have been reacting to so many things, most especially the positive things that have been happening. And when you look at it from one direction, it looks like a pullback, and it's actually not stopped the government from doing what is expected, but rather it adds as a spice to what the government is doing. Am I right? And looking at it vividly, there's a saying that if someone said you are beautiful, it means that what actually the person is saying is that you should bait very well. So some have come with a positive, constructive pullbacks, which has been used as a stepping blocks to what we want to achieve. But some comes with the negative. Definitely, they have their own opinion, and in such manners, we don't make use of it. We looked at it when we filtered it. If it's something to work out with, we do. When it is not, we have to step it about.
All right. Earlier, you talked about one of the reasons for streamlining the 11-point agenda collapsing it into 8-point agenda is because the government doesn't want to replicate what he's already achieved in during the first tenure.
Yes.
Now we have seen, the flag off of more infrastructure in Adamawa, particularly the flyover that's linking the axis of Mubi roundabout, towards the other side of the state. Is that a priority for now?
Actually, it is a priority because you see, Adamawa State is in northeast Nigeria, and last year, Adamawa State has been given as award as one of the best investor state in Nigeria. It means that more investors are coming, and the state is being crowded by people. So this government is not a government of now alone. What we are doing is that we're projecting into the future. We are planning for tomorrow because the population is increasing by day. So there is a need to expand the urban center so that it can be able to contain the people and also can be able to make investors to come in order to partner with the government and also to help in also to foster economic development in the state. So the flyover in Mubi roundabout, it is a project at the right time. Okay. It is what the people have been waiting for. So that the city center can be expanded, so that more businesses can come into existence, so that alone will also create jobs opportunity. So that is what the government is doing. It is indeed a step at the right direction.
All right. I know this has not been a good year for Nigeria, owing to the fact that the subsidy removal has plagued Nigerians into untold hardship. And part of that, to cushion the impact of this subsidy removal, is the procurement of luxurious buses, to ease the transportation challenges that Adamawa indigenes are faced with. What do you make of these buses, and what do you make of the palliative pattern of Governor Amadou Fintiri? Because some will think, apart from the distribution of rice and so on, that is all about palliative. But should we still expect more?
Yes, thank you very much. I think the first that was the distribution of rice. And initially the rice were meant to be sold out on a subsidized price. Because His Excellency is the governor for the people, and he felt that not everyone, and there is a need to ease the hardship on the people. And this rice we are giving free of charge to less privileged and to certain class of people in the community in order to cushion the impact of fuel subsidy. And just less than a week later, we flag off, and the buses were on the road. And these buses were on the road, and people are happy with this because it has cut down the price of transportation.
All right, Honorable Ijahu, I'll allow you to catch your breath. But when we come back, we'll still talk some more in terms of what creates an enabling environment for investors. Talk about investors, but of course the environment must be enabling for them.
Sure.
Good. Well, you're watching Political Affairs on Karma TV. We'll take a short break and be back in a moment. Join us again. Glad to know you're still there. But if you have just tuned in, you're watching Political Affairs on Karma TV. I've been speaking with Honorable Ijahu Ijabeni. He's a special assistant to the governor on media and content creation. Now, before the break, you talked about creating an enabling environment by the state government to open Adamawa up to investors coming in.
Yes.
But nobody wants to risk his investment into a place that is full of hostilities. What I mean here is the issue of security in Adamawa State. During his first tenure, on his inaugural speech, he said he will deal decisively with the dreaded Sheila boys.
Yeah.
So what is the security mechanism like in terms of creating an enabling environment for investors to come into Adamawa State?
Okay, thank you very much. When it has to do with the security in Adamawa State, is a promise that His Excellency has made during the first tenure. And people have testified. We saw with our eyes how the Sheila Boys and other social menace, securities, challenges, which has been breached for years, has been curtailed by His Excellency during the first tenure. And you will agree with me that the issue of security is something that you treat gradually. You treat with all necessary mechanisms in order to do that. So the last 4 years of His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Adamawa State, the security status of Adamawa State has well been improved. And that alone makes a lot of investors to come to Adamawa State. So we are building on that. Because as one of the agenda of His Excellency, the part of the 8-point agenda is to caution the issue of security. Because without the security, there's not going to be development.
That's right.
People cannot be able to go to work. The farmers cannot go to their farms. And the people of Adamawa State for the past 4 years have said to their hearing that the security has improved, and we will keep improving on that so that not only local investors, foreign investors will come in. We have dozens of foreign investors, and we hope more will come because this is a friendly government. This is a government that's seen the future. This is a government that is taking Adamawa above other states in few years. So the enabling environment has been created. What we will do, or what we have been doing, is to add up on the security. So that we can be able to bring out new frames and new techniques, which I cannot be able to say it on this platform. This is a security matter.
I understand that. Some things are left classified.
Yes.
All right. Now, over a decade now, sporting activities in Adamawa State have been on its lowest ebb, and it's like it's not diving owing to the fact that we do not have a befitting stadium in Adamawa State. What is this administration doing? What is your principal doing? Or what is his intention to see that he revives sporting activities in Adamawa State? Because sporting activities actually is one key way or sure way to take the youth, the restive youth, of the street.
Okay, when it has to do with sport is very important.
And besides, he's a sport-loving governor. Anyway.
Yeah, he is.
He plays games.
Yes, he's also a youth governor. He's a youth governor. So when it has to do with sport, is a promise that has been made. And I can remember during the end of the first tenure, he made a lot of lamentations on that. And just last 2 weeks, His Excellency has called the theme, and work will commence any moment from now.
On the stadium.
Yes. I'm talking about the stadium, and it's going to be a world-class stadium that will canvas a lot of sports that will be done in that place. And that alone, when it comes to existence, is going to bring in a lot of investors.
That's right.
Because there are sport investors. There are talent hunters that want to come and pick from the Adamawa State. And over the years, we have seen how we borrowed stadiums. We have so many talents we are undiscovered because there is no level playing ground.
Right.
There is no environment to dictate from the secondary school. Because one of the intent of His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Adamawa State, not only to concentrate on the adult sports. We want to cite talent from the secondary schools. There are a lot of competitions that are going on internationally.
But of course, you're aware that inter-schools game in Adamawa State, of course, it's also in a comatose.
It's not in the comatose. It's something that is on, but the tempo was to some extent light.
When last was a inter-school competition organized in Adamawa State?
Yes, the inter-school competition was organized last year, but actually it was on a very light one. So because this is government and everything has to be on a certain process. But this year, before this year runs out, there is a plan for it.
Because you talk about talent hunt.
Yes. A team has already been formed, and most schools have been informed that there's going to be a competition, and not just to compete and be given gifts. We want to see how we can cite talents, so that not only go to the four walls of the schools to learn how to read and write. So we want to discover those that can play this and do that. It will add up to the states, and it's going to also be of beneficiary to those that knows how to do the sports.
Now, let's talk to issues in the civil service. Of course, I know there has been a lot of issues unknown to people which needed a very urgent purging, to sanctify the civil service process completely. I've seen a drastic change in the civil service of the state, but do we still expect more in the civil service?
Yes, we actually expect to see more. One of the things that this government have done for the past 4 years is we make sure that apart from the employment that has been done to some extent, we make sure that among the civil service, certain numbers we are retrained. Because we noticed that for over years and civil servants are not being trained on the recent techniques and ICT. So now this second turnover, we were building on that. We are building on what? Adding more knowledge to our civil servant, employment, and what? Those that are due for promotion. This second tenure is theirs, because for those that they are not due, it means they are not. But those that are not due, they will be promoted. The promotion will be implemented, because this is a government of say and do it. We don't just talk because we want to talk with people, but before we talk, we have already formed a committee. Before we talk, we've already put something on the table, so that negotiations and the people welfare, which is key, because when the people welfare is not fixed the way it should, our ministry will not function well. And when there is malfunction in one or two of the ministry, it means that the government will likely to crash.
I'm glad you talked about training and retraining of civil service, which of course is the engine room of every state. But what about the payment of gratuity and pension, to deserving retirees of the state?
Okay, when it has to do with the payments of pensions and gratuities, ending of last year, that is ending of 2022, certain amount of money was released in billions of naira, and reasonable number of retirees were paid, and pensions were also being paid, because there are those that have retired for the past 7 years when we are not in government. So when we come into this government, we incur a lot of debts that needs to be cleared. So as a government, we don't want to just focus on one part. So as we offset some of the loans and some of the debts, we also concentrate on that. But as of last year, reasonable number were being cleared. And even this year, some numbers were also being cleared. And this government promised to do it. So what we are pleading with the civil servant is that be patient with this government. As you know, is a fresh air government, and the civil servant have testified, because the vote that His Excellency got during this 2023 election has to do more from the civil servant, because they have testified to the fact that their salary has not been held. 22-23, you receive your salary. And even as part of the palliative, His Excellency approved 10,000 naira for the next 6 months to all civil servants, pensioners, and gratuities, and this thing. So it's actually a plus to what His Excellency is doing.
When you talk about the, let me say, use the word extension of the olive branch from the governor to civil servants of the state, there are some who are neither civil servants nor private workers. They're just in a limbo because trying to make ends meet. What plans does the government have for such persons, who are neither in private organizations nor in the mainstream of civil service?
Okay, when it has to do with the palliative, the rights that was shared was not only shared to civil servants. There were different categories that we are given. Even journalists, they are not part of the government. There are private practice journalists. We know that there are some of them that are challenged. We give them this. And we know there are some business people that also they are not part of government, and which part of such has been given. And you see, the palliative is still coming. Very soon we are going to share come.
Okay.
And we were going to widen the scope of the sharing formula. And because the one we just did, we understand that is a very good plan, but we need to what to incorporate other people, and also so that at least you cannot feed everyone to his but you can be able to put a spoon on someone's table, and that is a caring to us.
But is there any contingency plan for continuity?
Yes. When there's a contingency plan,
Right.
the essence of this palliative is to cushion the effect of the fuel and the removal of fuel subsidy. So, as a government, there is a plan to that. But we at this point we will not disclose that. But there is a plan that we are up to, and the people of Adamawa State will indeed feel the fresh air and testify to the fact that this is a government that half the people have had. He never goes to sleep, because the people needs to get what belongs to them.
Indeed. Well, I want to thank you most sincerely,
Thank you very much.
Honorable Ijahu Ijabani, Senior Special Assistant on the Media and Content Creation
Thank
to
you very
Governor Amadou Fintiri. It's a
Thank
pleasure
you.
to have you once again.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's the show for today. Join us again, same time, same station, as we come with a fresh edition of the program. Until then, stay safe. My name is Chris Jacobs. Ijahu Ijabani.